And welcome to the Ace Capone Show. I am your host. First things first, if you like the video, please subscribe, comment, and share. We're going to get right into it. Today, at the White House, we had President Trump holding a press conference with the South African president. And the South African president brought some people with him, to some golfers. I guess he thinks that the president is a fan of golf, so why not bring him something that he likes? So he brought some South African golfers to the White House to encourage, I guess, to impress him, to win favor with him. But that didn't go so well. And I know many of the media, you just can't trust the media anymore. You know, they give you a story, but they don't tell you the story. Everything that the press brings out is anti-Trump propaganda. And today he met with Cyril Ramaphosa, which is the president of South Africa, and the president, he was a nice man. He came to get some type of funding for South Africa. And President Trump explained to him, well, we don't mind giving you funding, but you have to stop this killing or genocide of white South African farmers. And I thought that the talks went well. They said they wanted to speak in private because you can't air everything out in front of the public, because the media loves a good story that they can twist. And this is exactly what they did in the coverage. Let's take a look.
President Trump hosting South Africa's president at the White House today.
The talks come amid heightened tensions between the two nations over Trump's claims of genocide against white South African farmers. Our D.C. Bureau Chief Ben Kennedy is live in Washington with more. Ben.
Well, comment ago, South Africa's president challenged the White House's genocide claims, with Trump having a bit of a show and tell to prove his point. President Donald Trump welcomed his counterpart from South Africa this afternoon and then held a bilateral meeting in the Oval Office.
We are essentially here to reset the relationship between the United States and South Africa.
It's before South Africa's leader, Trump, defended the resettlement of at least 49 Afrikaners fleeing, he says, racial and violent persecution.
Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa. And it's a very sad thing to see.
But President Ramaphosa pushed back and disputed the claims of genocide.
If there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective.
As the commander-in-chief then held up news articles which he says backs up his argument.
White South African couples say that they were attacked violently.
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it isn't true?
Well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried. And he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
What you have going on here, they really cut the heck out of that. It was backwards. Basically, you had the South African president, praising Donald Trump for bringing the respirators over to South Africa under COVID, which the Democrats swear that President Trump bungled. But when you have people from other countries coming and thanking him for what he did during COVID, obviously the Democrats in the media don't know what they're talking about. What you have here is a bunch of Marxists and socialists propaganda. And if you don't understand, socialists and Marxists love to use the victim tactic, which says, oh, if you're black, you're a victim. If you're sexual degenerate, you're a victim. If you're a woman, you're a victim. If you're a color, religion, or ethnicity, you're always a victim. You can never be a human being when it comes to being a liberal. They always have to find someone who's downtrodden. Or even if you're not downtrodden, they're going to find something to make you think that you're downtrodden. And what they're doing here with the president, if you're paying attention to the propaganda, they said Trump is saying that it's a genocide. Well, where did Trump get the information? Where did Trump get the list of people who have been killed? They aren't telling you the story. They're telling you a story. And what we have here is the media who is so hell-bent on skewing everything the president says. And at the end of that little clip there, you had him talking about a plane because some moron, I think it was from NBC or CBS, right after he's talking about white South Africans and graves that were marked for them, this guy jumps out and asks about a plane from Qatar. And he had to chastise him. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, we're talking about people dying, and all of a sudden you want to come out talking about a plane. And even in this clip, the silly reporter started talking about a plane. What does a plane have to do with people in South Africa? This man is here. The president is asking for assistance. And the president says, there's some things that have to be cleared up before we give you funding. And if you are out here to snow me and to blow smoke up my butt and tell me, oh, there's no genocide, when people are giving him evidence contrary to what you're saying, that's very disrespectful. You're coming over here treating me like a jerk, lying to me. You're bringing some athletes because, I'm sorry, Africa, when you look at Africa, you look at the black community. You really do. You have people who are just all about sport. And this is what they talk about. Yeah, we won a couple of championships in soccer, and we won something in golf. I'm like, what does that have to do with your country? So the only thing your country is producing is athletes. You're not producing any great minds. You're not producing anyone of the caliber of Elon Musk to stimulate your economy. Matter of fact, Elon Musk was there at the meeting, and he said that they didn't even want to use Starlink because he's white. And this is how backward South Africa has become. You have a country that is discriminating against white people solely for the sake that they're white. I understand. South Africa went through apartheid, and where you had whites that were killing blacks, and they were discriminating against blacks, and they had control of the government, and the blacks were powerless even though they are the majority. Okay, that is past. That is history. What we need to do now is move forward and say, hey, what are we doing today? I can cry all day, but if I don't get off of my butt and do something about it, I'm just crying. And crying doesn't fix anything. You can break your leg and cry for 3 or 4 days, but if you don't get up and go to the hospital, it's never going to get fixed. You have to have a remedy. And people that run around always crying about being a victim, I'm sorry, they're absolutely worthless individuals. A bum will tell you a story all day long, but unless he's able to get his butt off the corner, get a job, or find a way of generating money so he can improve his station, he's just a bum. And victims will always be victims because it's convenient to be a victim. You can always say systemic racism. You can always say someone's holding you back, but prove it. You can show me the person that's holding you back and we'll get rid of them. Show me the system that's holding you back and we'll get rid of it. And none of these people can show or produce anything that they're claiming. And in this meeting with the South African president, Trump brought receipts. Check this out.
There's nothing you can do. There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land.
Yes.
South Africa, occupy land. That's who we are.
Honorable
Do whatever
members,
you want to
Deputy
do.
Speaker,
You can
Deputy
withdraw my
Speaker,
membership from
Deputy
this
Speaker.
useless parliament.
Honorable. Yes, honorable member.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa. Pa. Brr, pa. Pa. To kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer.
The mayor of DA in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer.
And while the South African president said that there's no violence, some of those that were in attendance with him had to admit there is violence. And President Trump asked him, he said, well, these people are being killed and nothing is being done to those who are committing the atrocities. And you had the one lady from South Africa asking President Trump, well, when are you going to go to see for yourself? What you don't understand is that is your country. If people are fleeing and want to flee because they are being engaged with violent people, well, why do I need to go there? You think people are making up these graves? You think people are losing their farms and their land and they're just making it up? There's another part of South Africa where the whites say they abandon, the majority of South Africa, say, hey, we're going to take some land over here and start our own community. And you have blacks who are upset. You hear people talking out of both sides of their mouth. They're saying, we don't need to be with white people. We don't like white people. White people are the devil. White people are, they are victimizing us. Well, separate from them. And when the whites want to separate, they chase after the whites. And they say, oh, those whites don't want to be around us. I wouldn't want to be around you either. If the whites are the problem, why do you care if they move away? You're too busy chasing them because you understand when they leave, civilization leaves. And they understand that South Africa, the whites built that country. The blacks just occupy it. This is why the majority of South Africans are unemployed, because there's no industry there. And you're here begging for assistance, but you are in bed with Russia, China, and Iran, who are all adversaries of the U.S. And it was South Africa that filed a a lawsuit against Israel on the behalf of the Iranians. Check this out.
Okay, so Ramaphosa was talking about Elon Musk the other day. I don't know if you've seen this clip or not. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, Rob, can you pull up this clip? Here's Ramaswamy talking about...
Is it the Starlink one? Or?
This is the one right here. Go ahead and play this clip, Rob. Go for it.
Having to do with Starlink. So I know about
Starlink,
it and have even... yes, I know about it.
Do you like Elon Musk?
Let me say to you, I have had, Elon Musk is South African born American now. I have had discussions with him and have said, Elon, you become so successful and you are investing in a variety of countries. I want you to come home and invest here. So he and I are going to have a further discussion about a variety of things. Whatever one may think about him, he is a hugely successful business person, and having had those discussions with him to advance the interests of South Africans, and he runs widespread businesses, and in many ways he's already invested in South Africa through his online process, which used to be Twitter. So he's already present in our lives as South Africans. So I will be taking further discussions about
what's the likelihood
how
of that
we can
happening?
attract.
Zero. Elon Musk and Donald J. Trump know that it is absolutely pointless investing in South Africa. All you're doing is rewarding the ANC for their socialist and racist policies. The three fundamental bases need to be, we will not do trade with you, we will not help you, in fact, we're going to punish you unless you repeal black economic empowerment laws, expropriation without compensation, and you withdraw the Iran-funded ICJ case against Israel. Iran funded the ANC to put that case against Israel.
Iran funded
the ANC. They sent money to the ANC, and part of that money allowed the ANC, on behalf of Iran, to file the ICJ genocide case against Israel.
And this is when? So the acronym IGCA refers to the International Court of Justice, South Africa against Israel, formally titled Application of the Convention of the Prevention and Punishment of Crime, Genocide, and Gaza. Here's a breakdown of the key aspects of it. Allegation: South Africa accuses Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza, violating the 1948 Genocide Convention. The application points to actions like killing Palestinians, causing serious harm, deliberately creating conditions to destroy the group, and preventing birth.
Why would South Africa, of all the countries in the world, out of the blue, accuse Israel of genocide through ICJ?
Are they the first one that did it?
They're the only ones that did it. And you know why they did it? Iran paid them to do it. Just type in Iran funding ICJ case.
He ran the dog and pony show. He came here with some athletes, golfers from South Africa. He initially denied that the genocide was occurring. And all of a sudden, he gets called out. And the media gets offended that Trump brought receipts. They're upset that, hey, we're not going to be funding China, Russia, and Iran. I think, I really think our media is bought by the Chinese. And the fact that Joe Biden was bought by the Chinese, these guys either these reporters don't know what they're talking about, or they're being paid to oppose our government. This is why the media should be shut down. These corporate media groups should be shut down. They're not working on the behalf of the American people. They push lies. They push propaganda. They sit out here and oppose and hope and pray for the downfall of our country to the detriment of the American people. They mislead the people. anyone, you can always tell who's watching MSNBC or CNN or the other fake news organizations, CBS, ABC, NBC. By the time they start talking and they're Trump deranged, you know who these people are. You're like, oh, you've been watching mainstream media and you're a moron because you don't know what you're talking about. It's nothing but lies and distortions. And they won't let you listen to Trump because if they can't distort the facts, they're not happy. And they will attack you if you don't buy into their nonsense. Hopefully, after they talk, maybe Trump can get them to run the Chinese out as we did over in Panama. They can get the Russians out and also sever their ties with Iran. Iran is actually a pretty powerful country because it has influence. It was providing drones for the Russians. It's funding opposition in South Africa. It's funding terrorism. Also, thanks to Joe Biden for allowing them to make money on their oil and also giving them billions of dollars for hostages. You know, Joe Biden is the gift that just keeps on giving. But another gentleman who got himself in trouble is Chrisbrown. He was over in England and he was arrested because of something that happened 3 years ago. I believe it was back in 2021, 22. Check this out.
I don't know which way is up, which way is down.
Chrisbrown arrested. The 36-year-old Grammy winner reportedly taken to jail in England for an alleged attack at a nightclub there 2 years ago.
Certain things or decisions that I made, I wouldn't have thought that would have been in my character.
Investigators tell ET an arrest happened just after 2 a.m. on Thursday outside this five-star hotel in Manchester. Brown's believed to have arrived to the area on his private jet just hours earlier.
I was so surprised.
Here's what allegedly happened. According to The Sun, a music producer is accusing Brown of an unprovoked ambush at the trendy London nightclub Tape back in 2023. The alleged victim claims the R&B star hit him over the head with a bottle, then punched and kicked him as he lay on the floor. He says he was treated at a hospital and needed crutches to walk when he was discharged. The producers also reportedly launched a civil complaint seeking $16 million for injuries and losses as a result of the alleged incident.
Are there a lot of snakes pulling at you?
It's always gonna be snakes, man. Snakes everywhere.
ET's reached out to Brown's legal team for comment. So far, he's still set to launch his upcoming world tour in Amsterdam on June 8th.
I think my talent speaks for itself. So, I mean, if you want to buy into the brand of Chrisbrown as an artist and an entertainer, fine by me. Love you.
The Dad of Three has a history of violent behavior dating back to 2009 and his felony arrest for assaulting then-girlfriend Rihanna. E.T.
These guys just love going way back in the past. And leave it to the media, man. They'll just dog you out. But don't say anything about them. Oh no, why are you digging up the past? They love smearing people. You know, you can do no wrong because they're gonna beat you up with it for the rest of your life. Rihanna's gone on and with her career and moved on to someone else. Chrisbrown is out here doing this thing. But they go all the way back to Rihanna. But it's strange to me to be a celebrity and to have so much wealth and you are engaging in violent acts which will decrease your wealth and also take your freedom. So I just think if this allegation is true, I feel sorry for the man, but as he said, snakes are always around. And this next story is about Joe Biden and his new book. Jaketapper is being criticized for his so-called investigative book about the Biden White House and how the media was misled by the incompetent Biden White House. But those of us who understand know that he's lying through his teeth and he's trying to sell a book after half the country understood that Joe Biden wasn't mentally there. And this whole talk about Joe Biden having prostate cancer, the doctors are saying that, hey, he had to have had this over a decade. So while he was vice president, he probably had it. And he ran for president and he still had it. So now they're bringing it out after the fact. The fact that this man took over 350 days of vacation and no one criticized him in the media, but they'll tell you that Trump took days to go play golf. But Trump is always working. Trump has outworked all presidents before him. This man is working every single day, and he's getting things done every single day. You can't say that about anyone else. You can say that presidents were going over here to talk to a group of kids, but they weren't getting anything done. They're good faces and poster boys for the White House, but they're not effective presidents. Donald Trump is the most effective president we've ever had. And we have a media that likes to spread lies and to foment hatred towards him. But they didn't have that energy when it came to Joe Biden. His fake DEI press secretary lied through her teeth. And then you had people covering up. And Jaketapper and CNN now happen to want to criticize Joe Biden when it's too late.
Just days after former President Biden announced he has an aggressive form of prostate cancer, a new book out today blasts Biden aides and people in the White House at that time for allegedly hiding his declining health from the public while he was in office. Original Sin by journalists Jaketapper and Alex Thompson delves into firsthand accounts, many anonymous, from Biden's time in office. Earlier on CBS Mornings, Tapper directly addressed who he believes is to blame for what he describes as a cover-up.
I think the main people complicit in hiding the non-functioning Biden were
CNN,
President Biden, First Lady Biden, Hunter Biden, and then his immediate circle of aides that other people in the White House called the Politburo, Mike Donnellan, Steve Ricchetti, and some others. They were the ones who saw President Biden every day, up close and personal, and whether they were lying to themselves and everybody else or just everybody else.
A Biden spokesperson released a statement today saying, quote, "There is nothing in this book that shows Joe Biden failed to do his job, as the authors have alleged, nor did they prove their allegation that there was a cover-up or conspiracy. Nowhere do they show that our national security was threatened or where the president wasn't otherwise engaged in the important matters of the presidency. In fact, Joe Biden was an effective president who led our country with empathy and skill." CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro is in Wilmington, Delaware, where the former president is. Aaron, what specific moments are detailed in the book?
Lindsay, in addition to some of the moments where the White House looked to accompany or, as they write, cover up the president's health and his age, such as scripting cabinet meetings even though there were no cameras present, or adjusting what times he would do public events in the day. You also saw several specific instances of Democratic members of Congress interacting with Biden, sharing their concerns privately and maybe not sharing it at all publicly or waiting for a while. For instance, Congressman Mike Quigley from Illinois accompanied President Biden on a trip before he announced his reelection in 2023. They went to Ireland, and Quigley described many moments where the president seemed to have a shot of adrenaline and moments where he was completely deflated. And he said it reminded him of his own dad, who had passed away due to Parkinson's. There are many moments in this book where there president seemed to forget the names of close aides. In 2022, there was an instance where he didn't know the name of his national security advisor or communications director. And again, in 2024, this story has gotten a lot of attention, where at a big Los Angeles fundraiser, at a crucial time for the president's reelection campaign that was really drawn in by George Clooney, the president, who has known the actor for years, did not recognize George.
Who cares about those guys? Oh, you mean those oligarchs and all their money? You mean those guys that ran Joe Biden out and said that they weren't going to give him any more money unless he dropped out of the race? And you have AOC and Bernie Sanders running around saying they have an oligarchs tour. And these people are wealthy. These people are getting money from billionaires. The majority of billionaires contributed to the Democrat Party. And just as Trump said when he was running against Hillary, these people contribute and they like the fact that they get tax breaks. So it's rich for these people in the Democrat Party to talk about oligarchs and billionaires and corporations, when corporations like Target, Walmart, and DoorDash, they all contributed to the Democrat Party, especially during COVID. This is why they were the only ones who were allowed to function during COVID. And people aren't understanding. You couldn't go out, but people could DoorDash. You couldn't go out, but Walmart had their stores open. Target had their stores open. They were making money because they were big contributors to the Democrat Party. And now these people are out here talking about, oh, the oligarchs, the oligarchs. You are part of it. You are talking about yourselves. And you just can't trust the media anymore. They are part of the problem. And then you have people like Jaketapper, who got trapped by Megyn Kelly about his book.
Jaketapper has been exposed. Yes, the CNN host and darling of the Democrats is in damage control today after his book tour turned into a pile-on following Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis, with journalists and commentators exposing the mainstream media's role in covering up the former president's rapidly declining health throughout his term and in the lead-up to the presidential election. Megyn Kelly unleashed on Tapper during a debate on her show, blasting him for being a key player in the cover-up, whilst blasting conservative media for attempting to expose the truth about Biden's condition.
Over here in my ecosphere, we were covering all of these. It wasn't just falling down. It was getting lost. It was some of the stuff you report in your book, we knew and we were reporting on, like the multi-jump cuts in the videos of him, where it was obvious he couldn't get through a 1-minute take. It was clear to us that he was using teleprompter, and there was some reporting on that at the time, all of which the White House was denying. Now, the current White House, I have some connections. With the Joe Biden White House, I had none. But you did. There was an attempted cover-up. It could only ever work if you allowed it, if the press allowed it. Some of us tried not to, and some of us were complicit.
The Biden White House did not like me. Okay, I do not have great connections with the Biden White House.
Well, clearly you have a lot of sources. You say you talked to over 200 sources for this book.
This
so
is
you
after
have
the
some
election.
You could have called and worked.
No, that's the point, is that they were not being honest. That's
well,
the
how
point.
did the Wall Street Journal get it in June of 2024? And Jaketapper and CNN couldn't find sources for this story then before he dropped out?
Online commentators have torched Tapper, with this person saying, "No one looks as horrible as Jaketapper does right now. May his book rot on shelves wherever good people gather." This commentator agreed, saying Megyn Kelly ended Jaketapper's career today. Total bloodbath. She left him rambling, speechless, and admitting he helped cover up Biden's decline. He had years to press Biden and didn't. Now he's exposed and finished. And the book has unsurprisingly not been well received by Joe Biden's family, with his granddaughter Naomi unleashing.
Of course, they're not going to receive it well because it's about their scam and how the media covered up the Joe Biden deficiencies. This man was not doing his job. He was at the beach. You saw Joe Biden on the beach more than he was at the White House. The fact that you had Joe Biden falling off of bikes, could barely go upstairs, had his wife interrupting interviews to answer questions for him. He did not hold cabinet meetings. You had to submit questions and comments to Jill Biden and Kamala's husband, and they were basically the puppet masters. So for the news media and Jaketapper to come out and say that, we didn't know. No, you were defending him. When Laura Trump was talking about his mental abilities, you said, you're not a psychologist. How can you sit here and talk about his mental acuity? And then you had people saying, oh, the videos with him wandering off overseas, oh, those are just cheap fakes. They defended it. They called everyone liars. But now that they're exposed, they're writing books saying, oh, well, we were lied to. No. If you were lied to, then you wouldn't have been defending and cutting people off while they were being interviewed on your fake news stations. You would have told the truth. They're all complicit. I think all of these people should be fired. Jaketapper should be fired. He should be disgraced. His book should be burned in the streets. He should be ruined because these people perpetuated a fraudulent president. He was nothing but a straw man, while people behind him and with him were pulling the strings. These guys could have put us into all types of situations we could never get out of. This is why you had the Ukrainian war going on, because there was no one to talk to. You had people coming over the border because there was no one to address it. Joe Biden was a shell of a man. They knew it. They told you that the border was secure. When the conservative media said, no, it's not, they showed you video. They said, oh, no, this is just an act. The Republicans, this is Russian propaganda, right-wing propaganda. When he talked about energy and talked about China, they dismissed it. They covered nothing. But they could only tell you that Trump was bad and that he is spreading hate. But also, these birds on The View, I still don't understand how these people, continue to be a part of the programming, because you have the most incompetent airheads talking about subjects they know nothing about.
When is Jaketapper going to write a book about the cognitive decline of the person who is in charge right now?
This is where I take issue with some folks on the left. We stand with journalists. We stand with the free press when they're going after their opponents, like Donald Trump. But when they critically cover Democrats as, oh, no, they're lying. It's fairy dust. It's not true.
If you're telling me that hundreds of people knew that he was not able to do his job, then where the hell was everybody?
Fox News contributor and Washington Examiner senior writer Joe Concha joins me now. Joe, good morning to you. So they don't like the book. And really, the overall tone of the conversation is that all of this stuff is in the past. Why are we focusing on it now when we should be fighting back against Donald Trump? What do you think about that?
Wow, my hair hurts just hearing that analysis there, Carly. Look, this is your friendly reminder once again that The View is not under ABC's comedy or Disney's comedy department, or in this case, unintentional comedy. This is actually presented as a product of ABC's news division. Look, on the back of my new book, The Greatest Comeback Ever, instead of having endorsements, I have quotes for what was going to happen during the 2024 election. And one is, Trump can't last as president for 4 years with his brain deteriorating at the rate that it is.
It's exactly the point. These people have so much to say about Donald Trump. They were psychoanalyzing Donald Trump from their news station. They were telling you that Trump isn't all there, when Trump is more intelligent and has more wit than any of these people on these news stations. And they sit with a straight face while they lie in the faces of the people. This is why their viewership is down. No one trusts the media, and deservedly so. I think they should get rid of these people. You have Rachel Madcow out here lying and distorting. This is all they do. Their job is to lie and distort. They're not telling you the news. It's good entertainment. Trust me. I used to watch the nonsense, so I can sit here and I can vouch for it. It sounds really good when you're listening to these people. But if you fact check them and actually dig deep down, they're nothing but paid actors for the Democrat Party. And you're being misled. You're being led by a bunch of socialist sympathizers and Marxists. They push racism and sexism all day long. They have nothing of value to give you. And speaking about values, we have a new pope. And the weirdos on the left, once again, are upset because he's not the political puppet that the last pope was. This pope says marriage is between a man and a woman. That goes against that fairy tale that the Democrats had and the old pope had when he was basically winging it. And he just basically abandoned the Bible and morality, and he wanted to be the PC, DEI loving pope.
Pope Leo XIV was inaugurated with a ceremony in Rome over the weekend, which saw global leaders come together to mark the momentous occasion. The appointment of Pope Leo XIV sees a return to the Catholic Church's roots. The new pope confirmed in a meeting with the Vatican diplomatic corps that the family is founded on the stable union between a man and a woman. This position is a far cry from the former pope's blessing of LGBTQIA+ relationships, which is sending liberal Catholics into a tailspin.
I'm a little concerned about this choice for the LGBTQ plus community. In 2012, he gave an address to bishops, and he lamented the popular culture fostered and sympathy for beliefs and practices that are at odds with the gospel, and that's a quote. And then he cited the homosexual lifestyle and alternative families comprised of same-sex partners and their adopted children. I think that Pope Francis certainly made great changes in terms of embracing the LGBTQ plus community and extending blessings to the community. And I hope that this Pope doesn't roll back.
But I'm gonna give him come to that in his time.
As well as being against gay marriage, Pope Leo reaffirmed the Church's stance on abortion, saying that the unborn and elderly enjoy dignity as God's creatures. Liberal online commentators blasted the Pope for his views, with this person saying, "I do think it's fairly tragic that the new Pope has regressive views on gender and sexuality, but I think all the people standing the cardinals forgot that the Catholic Church is an inherently evil institution. Pope Francis was sort of a fluke, and even he was far from perfect." But other commentators pointed out that Pope Leo is merely a return to normal programming for the Catholic Church. This person said, "Today, Pope Leo XIV reaffirmed two foundational Catholic truths. Marriage is between one man and one woman. Abortion is demonically evil." He also declared truth must be spoken even with blunt language. No ambiguity, no compromise, just clarity.
And there you have it. You know, as I said before, Hollywood is of the devil. You have these people in Hollywood and entertainment, athletes included. These people sell their soul for the dollar. This is why you have things like the Diddy situation. This is why you have the Epstein situation. And you have all of these celebrities who are involved with these people. There is no morality in Hollywood. So why would you take why would you take any type of advice from anyone in Hollywood? You have Sunny Holston, who's a demon herself. These people don't stand for anything because they can't. Because it would affect their ability to earn money. If you said something about LGBT, whatever the alphabet is, Hollywood employs a lot of these people. They would kick you out because you're not part of the party. If you take a stance of morality in Hollywood, you won't have a career. If you take a stance about childbirth, you won't have a career because they will kick you out. This Pope is absolutely right. He is correcting the ills of the last Pope. Life is important, and when you're producing that life, you have to be responsible. You just don't say be irresponsible, then delete children. How is that biblical? You can't talk about sexual degenerates and bringing them into the folds of normalcy and saying, "Oh yeah, this is okay." That Pope was an outlier. He was a disgrace to the church. He destroyed the church. He made a mockery of the church. And now you have someone who's going to right the ship, and you have the weirdos coming out to give their opinion. But just as that first comment says, when they say, well, when people come to you and they say, well, you can't judge me. Jesus wasn't a judge. Jesus didn't judge anybody. And then you show them in the Bible that, well, Jesus may not have judged because he was here to give grace. But he also told people to turn from their wicked ways. You can't come into the church dirty and leave dirty. You come into the church dirty, but you have to show that I, in good faith, am going to reform myself based on the path that Jesus Christ set. And on that, you say, hey, you can't continue with your vulgar lifestyle. This is what they don't get. But if you bring that to them, they'll say, oh, well, the church is inherently evil. So you are commenting on the church by talking about the Pope, and then you condemn the church altogether. First of all, that just shows that you're a devil. You have no intent to adhere to anything of the gospel or the church. You're just there to corrupt it. And this is what the last Pope did. He corrupted Catholicism. And it took him a long time to get out of the way. But I'm glad he is out of the way because he was destroying Catholicism. And people will say that, maybe in private or out in public, but that guy was a disgrace to Catholicism. He basically corrupted it. He polluted the religion. And all the weirdos and degenerates were having a great time under that Pope. And now you have someone who says, I'm going back to the gospel, and then all the weirdos are going to complain. And this is sort of like having Donald Trump in the White House. All the weirdos who were stealing money, defrauding the American people, sending money to other countries, funding silly research, just wasting money, tearing us down, allowing other people to exploit us in trade, letting China, advance above us and have their way with spying on us and stealing our intellectual property, buying up land near our military installations. America was going down fast. And now you have a man who wants to right the ship, and the demons are upset. The socialists and the Marxists are upset. The only thing they know is racism and institutional racism and white supremacy and bigotry. You're going to hear a lot of that because that's the only ammunition they have. And also to get out in the street and marching and tearing up things because they're inherently violent. They don't believe in peace. They love chaos because chaos allows their agenda to flourish. We as Americans should be happy that Donald Trump is here and that he is out here correcting the flaws of the last administration that basically sold America down the river. And on that note, drop me a line. Please subscribe, and comment. And until next time, this is Ace Capone. Peace. And I'm gone.